Hi guys, welcome to episode 2 of Baby Premier World. I know it's been a long time, but goodness, it's so good to be back. I'm so excited for today's topic. We are going to be actually talking about food. Obviously, you can see by the looks of it that we're going to be learning quite a lot. I know that when we talk about food, it can be quite overwhelming, especially when it comes to your baby. But before that, do make sure, of course, to subscribe on my YouTube channel. You know this mama over here. Absolutely appreciate your support, as you can see on your screen there. And most importantly, also, make sure to interact with me by, of course, going to my Instagram page. That is baby_preemie_world. Thank you. Now, I remember the first time when I started to introduce solid food to my baby. Gosh, it was a daunting experience, and I think new moms can only relate because, you know, we tend to be quite nervous when we have to introduce specific things to our babies. You know the feeling. I'm not alone in this, right, mom? Right, mom? Right. Now, because of that, I wanted to actually just to share some of the tips which I'm hoping that it might perhaps ease those new moms out there in terms of what is some of the foods that can be introduced to your baby. But most importantly, there are, of course, certain things that you need to consider that before you start introducing solid food to your little one. You need to make sure that they are at least by 6 months, as is recommended by pediatricians. And of course, once they're 6 months, you can start and gradually start to introduce a variety of food as they turn 7 months and as they go to 8 months and so forth. So now before that, let me just quickly share with you some of the 3 developmental stages which is probably recommended by pediatricians to actually consider before you start introducing solid food to your baby. Okay, so how do you know that your baby is ready for solid food? All right, number 1, you really want to make sure that your baby can sit with little support or with no support at all. And number 2, you also want to make sure that your baby's head control is good. You know, you really don't want to find that your baby's head is wobbly or it's not sturdy and firm. So see to it that it's nice and firm before you can actually try to introduce solid food. And number 3 is that when your baby can absolutely open up their mouth and actually lean forward towards you when you offer food to them. Okay, so mama, so handling food really doesn't have to be complicated, especially when it comes to doing food for your little one. Okay, so as you can see over here, I have a display of fruits that I really just want to show you what are some of the basic things that you can implement to make this solid food fun for your baby, especially when it's the first time your baby is going to first start to eat solid food. All right, so first and first, what you really want to do is, of course, you want to, well, over here rather, I've got apples and pears, okay? So initially, the idea obviously is to chop your apples and your pears. And of course, you want to boil them. Remember when you start introducing solid food, you really want to make sure that the food that they're eating, they are pureed. I mean, for the reason that they don't have teeth. You really don't want to be putting this inside your baby's mouth. You get what I'm saying? So see to it that you boil it for the reason that you really want to make it soft, nice and tender. I mean, if you're going to do this, it's pretty much like giving a bone to your child. And surely that's not ideally recommended, especially for the reason that they are officially starting with solid food. So hence I said, you really want to try to make it fun, play around with food, you know. I don't think it has to be something that has to be complicated. I know it can be very stressful, but try to make it as fun as possible because at the end of the day, this is all about experimental, you know, for both you and your baby. I mean, if you're nervous, I'm pretty sure your baby is going to pretty much sense that. So yeah, over here we have pears and we've got apples. I literally just chopped it. Doesn't have to be fancy because at the end of the day, you're going to boil it. And once you boil it, pretty much 5 minutes, you know, really it doesn't have to stand on the stove for long. 5 minutes, it's more than enough, all right? And then once you have chopped this, of course, you can always go about it and add a variety of fruits depending on what you're making for your child. But another important thing to consider is that when you introduce new food to your child, you want to make sure that you implement what we call the 3 to 5 day rule. Now, this is recommended by pediatricians, and a big reason for this is because you want to make sure that as you introduce new food to your baby, you want to just try to check that there are no forms of allergy reactions, you know. So then implementing the 3 to 5 day rules, it's quite safe, relatively safely, because it allows you as a mom to actually observe your baby, whether are there any reaction that your baby would be experiencing rather. And another important thing also to consider is as you introduce the new food to your baby, you really want to try to do it one food at a time. By this I mean, if you're going to start with the apple, try an apple for 5 days, 3 to 5 days. If you want to try with a pear, try it for 3 to 5 days. The moment you can start doing a combo, as I did now, is when you're 100% sure that your baby is not allergic to either of the food. So obviously, I am doing a combo because at this stage, baby is already comfortable, no allergy reaction whatsoever. So this is actually for the advanced level. Once your baby is actually 100% fine, hasn't experienced any allergic reaction whatsoever. And remember, when it comes to allergic reactions, typically you will see some rash on her body or his body, you know. But importantly, so should you see any form of reaction, best advice, please do consult your pediatrician. I cannot overemphasize just how important it is to always consult with pediatricians. I know, sometimes you might feel like, I got this. You don't have to ask your pediatrician, but really best advice, do that. They are the experts. They know what they're doing, you know, because I remember I literally was a wits constantly. Every single time I kept on WhatsApping my baby's pediatrician for every single thing. That is just how nits and grits that we new moms can be. And I know, I'm not alone. You got my back, mamas. I know I'm not alone. Right. So back to the combo. So obviously, as I said, that you can always mix it up once you are 100% sure that your baby is really legit fine with the different types of food that you had initially introduced to them. So you boil this, remember, for 5 minutes. And then what I like to do is also add some berries. My baby loves berries. And I'm sure my baby's not the only one that loves berries. I also love berries. So a huge reason why I love to implement some berries on my baby's diet is because they are good with providing vitamin C. And of course, they are packed with high fiber. And another important thing is that they're good for oral health. I mean, baby right now, she's on the process where she's teething. And you know what? I think it's vitally important that I take care of her dental hygiene. So let me know in the comments if, well, rather just drop me a comment if you really want me to go into depth by talking more about teething and so forth. You know, I'd really love to just tap into the teething topic. So, but let me know. If you got my back, then I'll have your back too. All right, so obviously once you've made sure that you've chopped and of course boiled your apples and your pears, what you really want to do obviously is use the blender. All right, this is going to come at great use. Thank God for blenders. You really don't have to do it the old-fashioned way of using a fork. You can traditionally do that, no problem with that. But you know, blenders just initially just save some time. All right, so we're gonna put just all of them rather inside the blender. Okay, depending obviously on the quantity of food that you want to make for your baby. Now I know my baby eats, so obviously I have to make sure that I'm actually feeding this girl, you know. So here we go. Right, awesome. Okay, And of course, as I said, regarding the berries, you really don't want to boil them. There's really no need to do that. So you just put however amount you want to put. I know baby Timo loves berries, so I really don't mind just putting a lot. In fact, we can just put all of them, you know. All right, here we go. I think I can just steal one, can I? All right, we're good to go. Then obviously you're going to close it, and then we blend. Of course, don't forget to wash those beautiful hands of yours before you actually attempt to touching baby's food. You know that babies are very sensitive, especially at this very critical time of COVID-19. Nonetheless, over here, now that we are finished blending our food and, well, our fruits rather, I'm going to show you some of the things that I feel it's like a must-have for all moms. This is typically called baby food containers. So the idea of this basically is to actually store your baby's food inside these very small containers, you could say. They look small, but trust me, the amount that you have to put in here, the quantity rather, it's doable, you know. It's a matter of how, of course, your baby eats. I mean, if you feel that one container is not going to be enough, then of course, most likely you can always use 2 containers or 3 containers, depending on the quantity of how your baby eats. In my case, my baby literally just uses 2 containers. 2 containers for lunch, 2 containers for supper. So depending on what I have cooked, you know, you want to make sure that you obviously restore your baby's food so that it's nice and fresh. And the only best way you can do that, of course, is to freeze it. Guys, life is busy, you know. So because life is so busy, we have to try to find ways, especially we're living in the 21st century. You know, we try to compromise motherhood, just being you, a woman, you know. So this is one of my best ways that I feel that really 100% works for me. So once I have done all the knits and grits and I have cooked and boiled and blended all the food, they come in here. As you can see right over here, this is what I pretty much gave baby Timo for lunch. Well, I would usually give her this for lunch, but depending on what I make, I mean, as I said, the whole idea of food is to be experimental, play around with food, you know, mix it up a bit. So sometimes I even go to an extent where I actually mix veggies and fruits, you know. So obviously for the whole video now, I was just showing you regarding fruits, but you can always mix it up and add some veggies and add some fruits, you know. So one of the best combos that I like to do, and baby Timo is absolutely in love with, is mixing green beans with pears and apples. You wouldn't think that combo would do, but it's a definite must-have. And it's the best of both worlds. You know that your baby is eating both veggies as well as fruits, you know. So this is my life savior. Now you can obviously get these food containers at all leading stores that cater for baby needs. So you really don't have to stress about it in terms of where to get them. There you have it, guys. I really do hope that you've learned a thing or two. If not, then what in the world were you listening for? Just kidding with you guys. Nonetheless, guys, I really hope that my information has become quite impactful for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Your love means a lot to me, you know. Keep on supporting this mama over here. Guys, if we're not going to support each other, who else is, you know? So thank you so much for following. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for tagging. Tell your friend about this YouTube channel and tell them that, hey, they're missing out, hey? Because over here, we're all about learning from each other because it's a community of motherhood. So we mothers, we want to learn because knowledge is power. Right, you know how we do it here? We celebrate babies, we celebrate motherhood, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to subscribe. Okay, tongue twister. Anyways, you get what I'm saying. Love you guys. Mwah, 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 mwah.